Hi, guys. Welcome to GecksandSpecs. So, this episode, just a fair disclaimer, isn't going to be something very fun and lighthearted to talk about, but I feel in my own personal being that it's something that we do need to discuss in our community. Today, I'm joined with Crazy Royal Geckos, and we're going to be discussing unethical morphs in the reptile trade as a whole. We might miss a few as we're just going to be going over the basic, more well known ones, but that's the basis of what we're going to be talking about today. We're also going to be talking about why people say there are positives to it, or the arguments they use to say why these morphs should be bred. But in our personal opinion, they shouldn't be, and we're going to be arguing against those arguments. But I do want to make a disclaimer that I do think you should do more research into this yourself and not just go off to what two people who run Instagram say about it. But that's for your own decision to make. So, hey, Taylor.
Hey.
We've also literally, I want to make this clear, have been talking about this for a solid, I want to say, were we talking like 15 minutes before we started this? Like,
Yeah, like
just,
good it's 4:22, like 5 minutes off before 22 minutes.
yeah, we've been talking for about like 22 minutes. Like, we just, before we even started recording, because, like, I know you're very passionate about this, obviously, and like, so am I.
Yeah.
Um, so what are we, this sounds horrible, but which would you like to discuss first? Because there's just a bunch to.
I mean, honestly, there is. Well, we can start for what we were originally talking about is the spider ball morph. We can start off with that one. If you want.
Um, yeah, that's fine with me. So you were originally like, what are some of the arguments you were saying you've heard in like positives? I think we should go first over like the positives, like what we hear for people saying why they should be bred. And
Usually people say, well, if you have a neurological issue, why should that be punished? That and the wobble's adorable. I've heard people explain that my child has bred them and thinks the wobble is absolutely the most cutest thing in the world. Um, People will compare them to pugs and English bulldogs. Like, if you breed those, why can't we breed a ball python? With the same issues. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I've also heard, like I was discussing this with you before, but I've also heard the comparison to autism that because that's just that saying spider ball python shouldn't exist is like the same as saying people with autism shouldn't exist, which it just in itself is a really dumb argument.
You
So,
That's actually a very kind of harsh thing when people compare something to that, because like a human that has autism, they have no choice. It's a I don't know if it's genetic with chromosomes. I'm not quite sure, even though I have high functioning autism.
mhm.
So that's a little like they don't have a choice. But when you put two spider balls, pythons, together, they have no choice but to exist. We
Uh,
can end that, but we choose to continue it.
my whole like issue just from a genetic standpoint on that, not to sound offensive, is more like that autism isn't like a guaranteed thing. When you like if you want
It,
to talk genetics, it's not like something that like when you breed two spiders, there's going to have neurological issues. Like you just know that there's no way to breed it out. With humans also we're more cognitively advanced, like we have a choice to procreate and whatnot. And also that there's literally no way to tell that someone will be autistic or won't be. Like, there's no like precursor. And we're also humans. That's different than breeding an animal that literally has genetical problems. Like, that's not like a fair argument, I feel like, at all to make.
it's really kind of like the dumbest argument to compare a person that really can't control it versus we can control an animal. It's one of that one, it has there's no excuse for that one. And I
No.
will argue to the end of the earth that that is the dumbest argument. I rather people argue with the pug and bulldog issue. Like, I can understand that, like completely understand that one. But
Yeah.
compare human with they have no choice, or it's a flip of a coin. Like, don't compare that. It's like, I know we're going a little bit off topic. That's like comparing lemon frost with cancer and people get cancer. Why should we put, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like it's like human genetics are completely different than like snake genetics. Like this is a pet. And like with the whole like you were saying like bulldog, English bulldog and pug argument, like I personally don't agree with the breeding of those dogs either. Like I don't think I don't know where you stand, but judging by what we were talking about, I don't think you do as well.
I
Um
don't support really, honestly, I don't really support most dog breeds, or I really don't support most dog breeds.
um but like my whole thing with that is like when people are like, well, people breed this and this, like so we should be allowed to breed spiders. Okay, just because like my whole thing is like I'm gonna use the saying, two wrongs don't make a right. Like two wrongs don't make a right. Just because some other animals are being bred unethically doesn't mean, and like being bred with breathing problems and such does not mean you should bring other animals into the world that didn't ask to be brought into the world with problems. Like that's not a fair argument to make. Like
Yeah.
I said, two wrongs don't make a right. Like
It doesn't give you the green light to just to do whatever you want because you see it as, well, if they're doing it, I can do it too. And it kind of puts it in like in a way like what is your mentality in it? Like what do you actually care for the animal, or you're just doing this for the money? Because these animals aren't cheap. They're actually quite expensive.
oh yeah.
They're not cheap. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're doing it for the big old dollar sign. And that's what mostly the people they're doing. It's for the dollar sign. And in my opinion, I guess I'm probably gonna get right about people who support it. They're not cute at all. Their pattern just strikes. Like, what's so
I
special about
agree.
that?
I agree. No. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I agree completely. Like I don't find their pattern like anything super amazing personally. Like just personally. Like there's to me much prettier ball python morphs that don't cause any issues at all. So
Even, oh, sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Even if the ones like this ball, the bumblebee and the champagne are like, and people are probably get mad at me for saying it, but it's like, you can look at chocolate cake and admire it, but don't eat it. The bumblebee
Yeah.
and the champagne are actually stunning. I can see where people come with that. Like I said, don't come at me, but it's like you can look at a cake and say it's nice, but it doesn't mean you have to eat it.
Yeah.
So with those, I can see where people would breed them, but they should not also be bred as well. They should be gone. They also have the corkscrew, the wobble, and I've
Yeah.
seen people. Another thing is that why would you want to watch an animal eat itself? Like some of them will starve themselves, some of them will just their nerds are so bad that they can't hunt for themselves anymore. I'm like getting heated. I'm
Mm,
like shaking
no.
around. But
I get. All right. Hi guys, we're back. Sorry, there was a minor connective issue, but basically what I was trying to say is that with like spider ball pythons, I feel like they don't even really live their entire lifespan like a normal ball python would. Like, because people, what they'll argue is like the wobble's small and like it starts out small and that they can just live a full and happy life with this minor neurological wobble. But like from everyone I've seen, the wobble gets to the point where they start like doing the corkscrew and not being able to eat anymore. And like I've never seen personally a spider ball python live to its full lifespan, which is like 30 years, you know?
yeah, but I agree with that. But I've seen people argue that they're bald. I mean, I'm not supporting it anyway, where they've lived for a very long time. Um, I've seen some arguments where mine lived a perfectly long, fat, healthy life and eats like there's no tomorrow. So yes, it can be small, and sometimes in my heart I want to believe that the wobble can only be a wobble, but majority do end up being, the
Horrible.
corkscrew and but like that saying, what's quality of life or quantity of life? That's what I always believe. I believe in quality. So when it starts getting worse, I mean, is it really the quality of life there anymore? And that's how I always believe it. If the wobble and he's eating fine and everything, I don't support it, but I'm gonna be like, don't breed it. That's like, don't, you know.
Like, yeah. With sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I know
I
you can
just was gonna
continue.
I was just gonna go off on that whole topic that basically I think if like a spider yeah, like you were saying, yeah, they can totally like that can happen, but like that's not the majority of cases with them. Um
Exactly.
Like a majority of cases with spider ball pythons is having neuro issues and starting out okay, like I'm gonna do like I'm literally doing air quotations okay and progressively declining, or they come out of the egg like literally needing to be cold and people will sell them off like they're fine.
Oh yeah. I have worked with this like vet, and he when they come in, they were bad, and they'll still sell them. Like he'll tell them to not sell them, and they're like, okay, because people panic and they want to sell it because breeding is not cheap. It is nowhere cheap. So people will also freak out and just sell them, and then it'll be your issue. This is why education is of educating yourself is very, very
Mhm.
crucial. You know, because you can easily be scammed into something, especially the good old um, spider ball wobble free or something like that. I love that. Free. It does not exist. It has been bred out. It's like, how do you breed it out? Because if you can breed it out, then be my guess. But I
Like
haven't met one that
okay.
hasn't.
Like I literally hate that argument because even like some people like big breeders that like or genetic specialists that support it literally are like, "Oh yeah, like they have admitted like it can't be bred out, but like, it can be minor." Like it's a literal lie to say it can be bred out. You know what I'm saying? Like you're
Exactly.
you're lying. Like why would you? And I've definitely like I went to a very small expo and I'm not going to name the breeder's name. I honestly don't remember who they are to be honest. I just happened to go up to their booth because like when I go to expos, like even if I'm not buying an animal, I do like to look at everyone's booth and I do like to talk to people. Like I just genuinely enjoy making conversation with other breeders. Um I want
To
to like
interrupt you real quick, was that the
yeah.
one that recently happened down there?
No, 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 no. This wasn't at Pomona. Not Pomona, Anaheim. No, it wasn't at Anaheim. It was like a very, very small scale up like expo. Like it was not like publicly announced or like really
Oh,
had a lot of traction. Like I'm talking it was like the smallest expo I've ever been to.
it's like probably one of those shady expos.
Yeah. Not like I definitely saw good breeders there. I'm gonna go a little off topic and like give a quick little shout out. Not this isn't sponsored. Don't at me, guys. But like there's a breeder I really like who runs his own podcast. His name's like Decked Out Geckos, I wanna say. And like he's honestly one of the coolest dudes I've ever met. And like he was there. And like there was a couple other local breeders that I've seen at other shows in my area that were there. I think it was just like this was the first year they did it. Like it was in Orange County, like it was in Costa Mesa, like where I live.
Oh, that's cool.
Um yeah, like it was very small. They had like people there that actually run a reptile rescue in the area um that were there and they were really cool. Like they were genuinely like I bought one of my tanks actually there for like $5. Um
Man, expos are great for that.
Yeah, but so it wasn't like it was a bunch of shady breeders. Like I want to make that clear. It just seems like it was an
I was
expo
more
that
like
was
joking.
yeah, it was like what'd you say? Sorry, I
I
didn't.
was like more joking because I figured there's some nice people there. They're just there for
Yeah.
showing off their
Yeah,
geckos.
but no, anyway, so this guy like I walked up to him and like I do not like breeders. Like it's like to other breeders, I do not like breeders that when I walk up immediately try to start selling me something. Like I just feel like that's not good business practice as a whole. But like I literally walked up and I was just looking and I was like, "Oh," he's like, "Hello." And I was like, "Hi." And I was like he's like, "Oh, are you looking for something in particular?" And I was like, "No, no, I'm just looking, you know?" And like he started going like literally didn't ask me anything else, just started going off and around. He's like, "Ball pythons are really easy to like take care of." Like started listing their care to me, which some of it wasn't even right, which I remember because like they only need like a 20 gallon. I was like, okay. And then like he was literally like he's like, I'd give you one for cheap right now. I'll cut my price in half. Like dude was literally just trying to make a sale when I literally was just like, I'm just here looking, man. You know? Um, but eventually he literally was like, "Oh, so I saw a spider and like I like the spider was corkscrewing like in its little like the display cases?"
Oh yeah, like those little square ones that look like
Yeah.
little blocks.
Yeah, so he was literally or I think it was a boy. I don't remember the gender of the ball python was corkscrewing in the display closure, and I was like, is that like because this guy already was kind of annoying me because he was trying to push a sale on me when I literally told him like I'm just here looking. Um, and I asked him, I was like, "Oh, is that normal?" He's like, "Oh, it's just like a little minor thing." Like he's like, "All spiders have it. It doesn't affect their quality of life." Like blah blah blah. And like I was literally sitting there like he's corkscrewing. He this isn't like I noticed like the thing in the little display case was corkscrewing. Like it was just
And this is
mm.
probably a baby, so it's gonna definitely get worse.
Oh yeah, it was a baby. It was very small. Like maybe I would not say over 8 weeks. Um
You know, if it's starting at that age, it's gonna get better when it
yeah.
gets older. Man, especially if
Yeah.
they start showing at that young age, that thing is not gonna live to its full lifespan unless someone really,
Well,
treats it like it's a handicapped,
well,
like
even then, it might not even live to its full lifespan.
exactly because you can't always force an animal to eat because sometimes it just give up.
Yeah.
But
But no, yeah, that happened. Like I literally am like shaking because I remember that because I was so uncomfortable. Like I just remember that like he made me genuinely uncomfortable. And like when I was like, "Okay, like have a good day." He gave me like a dirty look because like I didn't buy anything and I was just like, "Dude, I'm not interested in like buying from you right now." Well, not ever because I would never buy from someone that breeds spiders anyway. Plus,
yeah,
I wasn't even looking for I wasn't looking for a ball python. I was just trying to look at your booth and give you like like that sounds rude, like to say attention, but like to give you like 'cause I like to give each breeder because you know sometimes breeders come to expos and they're very small, and I just like to give everyone like a chance to see what they have and like just talk to them.
yeah, and I get that because I won last expo. Man, I would have bought everything there. I'm like a very like want everything type of person. But yeah, I get that. I like to visit every booth and just ask questions.
What I wanted to talk about, like, to maybe shoehorn in is like when people say, "Oh, like it's bred out." It's literally been proven spider can't be proven like bred out. Like they're not white and yellows. Because for people who don't know, white and yellow leopard geckos have a neuro issue, or they did. And it's been proven that that can be bred out of them. Like 100% can be 100% like completely bred out, but still like that neural issue can exist if they're not bred right.
It's
So
more like if they're not bred from a ethical breeder. Like
yeah,
I would never trust big chain breeders
but you shouldn't in general.
in
T.
general. I mean, I
Yeah.
could list about at least 20 of them on the top of my head, but I'm not going to do that because, like I said, if you don't know which ones are unethical breeders, and it's very concerning, but I can think of a couple on top of my head that I would never trust in buying their white and yellows in the slight second.
Um, to shoehorn into other like stuff like champagnes as well have the neural issue that can't be bred out. Now I don't know. I don't work with ball pythons. Put disclaimer. So I don't know if champagnes are completely different or they have some form of like spider
They're
genus in them.
they're the same as spider. I don't know if they're from the same like
Genus.
down
Yeah.
the line. I'm not like really smart in like the whole. I just know I say Morse on the same Morse line, but they do. I know someone that has a champagne and he has the wobble and slight corkscrew, but it's not like that bad. Supposedly, it's not that bad,
Hmm.
but they definitely have their moments with their champagne. And she's like, I will never buy another one, or I don't recommend them at all. And
See, like,
then
oh, continue. Sorry.
the bumblebee is just a little. It is from the spider ball line.
Yeah.
It definitely is. That one is bad. It's because it's down the line. It's the same issue as a spider ball, but because it doesn't have the spider ball in its name, it's much easier to sell. Because you think of a bumblebee, you don't think of a spider ball. So it is definitely a morph that is more
Hmm.
sold, I believe. Don't
Yeah.
quote me, than a spider because no
Well,
one knows.
Yeah, well, I think that with champagnes is because, spiders are very hot topic. Like you can like literally type in spider ball python on YouTube and you'll find like a bunch of videos saying like do not buy these. But champagnes I haven't seen. Maybe it's because I don't know when champagne popped out into the scene. I do know spiders popped out into the scene like a while ago. So
They've
it
been
might just be that what were you gonna say?
Oh, I mean, they've been around for a long time.
Yeah, so like I think champagnes, I don't quote me on this. I feel like they're a newer morph, possibly, and that's why they haven't gotten as much exposure for being unethical. Um, Same with cinnamons. Like cinnamons aren't neurological. Like I was telling you about them, they're not neuro issues. They have the kinked spine problem, like really bad. Like to like super cinnamons, like which is a cinnamon you can't breed. I don't believe you can breed a cinnamon to a cinnamon because they'll create super cinnamons and none of those babies live. Like it's like a mortality rate. Like they just die because it's that bad.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
know much about the cinnamon one, so this is quite actually really good to learn about because I didn't really knew nothing about that.
Cue the more you know star going across the screen.
Yeah, the more you
Um, the more you know. But no, cinnamons, from what I've heard, and like I don't want to sit here and be like, yeah, I know this for a fact because I honestly don't know it for like 100% fact, but from what I've heard, cinnamons, it's a 50-50 chance. Like there's a 50% chance they're going to come out with a kinked spine. Now, that doesn't necessarily, obviously, you shouldn't breed anything that has a 50-50 chance of coming out with a kink spine. But I want to make it clear the kink spine doesn't necessarily mean a death sentence because, like, kink spines can happen with just breeding in general, like it can just happen and like a ball python could live with a kink spine. But with cinnamons, it's like a 50-50 chance. Like no matter what clutch you breed, from what I've heard, some come out kinked.
yeah,
Um,
and I'm pretty sure
um,
by that name and they're not cheap.
no, I think they're pretty expensive. I don't know. I don't know cinnamon's
I've
pricing.
never seen them, so I don't know nothing.
I don't think I've seen one in person yet. Um, but yeah, so and the kinking can be so bad that they need to be cold immediately from coming out of the egg. Like one cinnamon I saw was literally their spine was just triangle shaped.
Poor thing.
Like imagine a snake. Like okay, like the best way I can describe it is like have you ever seen those wooden snake toys kids have?
Oh, like in the back in the old day.
Yeah, like you know what I'm talking
Yes,
about?
I would
And
get
how
my
you can
attention them.
yes. Like I used to too, by the way. Shout out to like the ADHD kids. But
Seriously, I would be pinched and like my hands would be so red from just moving it. I'm like,
I would literally I don't even know how many times I got my finger caught in it.
exactly. I
Like
think it was a death trap.
similar to cinnamons. Okay, that was horribly timed, but like true. Facts. But no, like so you know how you can maneuver them and they can make like a triangle shaped snake?
Yeah,
Cinnamons come out like that.
that's sad.
Like I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's literally horrible. Like it's that bad.
No, I get it. Like I 100% get it. It's like it's one of those shocked like I don't even know what to say, you know? It's like people amaze me. Like why would people want to risk that? I mean, the animal didn't ask for it and it's I can only imagine the pain and the I don't know if snakes will get arthritis and like not arthritis, but what do we call it? Bone degenerate. It's something what older folks get. My mom has it.
Um,
I can only imagine the pain it must feel when it gets in its 20s, if it makes it that long.
like, cause like I think minor kinking is different. Minor kinking is different than like, cause like I said, there are snakes that come out with like a minor kink. Like I'm talking something very small, and their spine is misshapen, but like it's not causing them any pain or like
Yeah, I
anything
can
like
get
that.
those little small kinks.
Because those can just happen with like just breeding like snakes with no issues. Like it just can happen.
Yeah, those I get.
Or like even super kink snakes can come out like it, but like with cinnamons, it's 50-50. Like, oh, like why are you breeding something like first off it just like from a like obviously from an ethical standpoint it's awful, but like also why would you breed something that you're only going to get 50% like babies that could be bred? Like
It would seem on a
why?
profit side, it would
Yeah.
be a downside because you're losing money unless you still sell them and someone wants to, pull that heartstring like I want to rescuing it. But rescuing folks doesn't mean buying it. Don't buy like sometimes you got to turn the other cheek, folks. Don't buy something sometimes that is
Um
unethical.
I agree with that because I see a lot of people at expos buy a spider or champagne or something, be like, I rescued it. I'm like, no, you just literally, you profited that breeder and now they're going to breed more.
Exactly. You know what rescuing an animal is? Is sometimes turning the cheek and saying, don't. Just leave it. In a harsh way, it's like you gotta, turn a blind eye because if you buy it, unless they're willing to give it to you, that's rescuing also. They're willing
Yeah.
to give it to you. That is rescuing. Buying it is not necessarily rescuing.
Yeah.
That's the
I
animals on death row, and maybe you're wanting it, but you're just buying it. Just basically say you just bought it to save it, but you just profited it.
you just taught them like regardless if you have good intentions, you literally just told that breeder. The breeder doesn't care that you're gonna tell him like shame on you, but I'm still gonna buy it to save it. They don't care. They're in their head. They're going cool. I made profit.
And then there's gonna be that spider python one spider python you saved. There's 100 others are gonna breed. That's like PetSmart and Petco. When you buy
Oh
and
God,
save that, I'm like, don't.
I cannot wait till later in the season when I do like an episode with you guys just talking about PetSmart and Petco and reptile mills as a whole because I actually did for my senior project, I did a 5-page paper and a film, like a short movie about reptile mills. So I'm excited to, not excited in the sense where I'm like, yay, but I'm excited to blast that.
Oh, and I have a lot of tea because I worked and work inside of it, so I know
Yeah,
a lot.
the
But
piping hot tea.
but then you want to start talking in it because we've talked a lot about the ball pythons and all that. If you want to start
Oh,
talking
I
into
think we should go into the beardy because the only one that I know in beardies that is bad is silkies. Like I don't think like leatherback. I want to make clear leatherback and silkies are very different things.
exactly.
Like
Um,
when go ahead.
I'm sorry. I know I'm like we're cutting each other off. I apologize,
No, no,
but
no. I think it's just
you
because we're
know,
both very
I think
passionate.
yeah, I think silkies are the only ones that is like bad. Like, because I'm thinking about others. Like, no, leatherbacks are fine. They're just smoother. It's they have scale, and it's just literally smoother.
Yeah,
Um, two leatherbacks make a silky though, so can make a silky, if I'm correct.
I think that's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, I have never seen a healthy silky. I've never, 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 never seen a healthy one.
this topic will irritate me, silkies, because people, for some stupid reason, compare them to hairless cats and dogs. Like, how can you compare an animal that still has hair and actually doesn't go outside, doesn't need UVB, doesn't need all these things, to an animal that needs all these things, but now it's deprived of it?
Okay, like that's just a stupid argument because hairless dogs and cats, like, there's no, from what I know, I don't know a lot about dog and cat species. From what I've seen, there's no negatives to them being hairless. Like, there's
There's
no,
skin issues. They do have that.
yeah.
It's not like severe, like of out of the way in it. It's not as bad. Like lotion, if you really, really take good care of the hairless animals, there's no problem to it. Like even skinks, because I do want one. I'm guilty of that,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe rescuing one. But they do have fur actually, believe it or not. People think they don't. It's just more of like a peach fuzz.
Oh, I
But if
didn't
you
know
bathe
that.
them, yeah, they actually yeah. If you're allergic to cats, you don't get a
They're
sneeze.
hypoallergenic, right?
No, you're still gonna sneeze. Your little
Oh.
no, you're gonna sneeze. If you're they still have all of it, so that's a myth. Don't get a sphinx if you're allergic to cats. Um, but you can wash them. You just have to bathe them. You can't. You can bathe a birdie, but I don't know what type of lotion you would put on a silky. I don't think you
Well,
even
because
can.
like reptiles like are very like even more sensitive than dogs and cats.
You're cut it out there.
Oh, okay. Hi. Hello.
All right, you're
Um,
back.
yeah, okay. No, but what I was saying is like dogs and cats like words. Their skin isn't as sensitive as reptiles. Like
Exactly.
you literally have to be so careful um with beardies from what I've heard um is that like even like my boyfriend has one and you don't bathe them with soap. Like you know?
Wait, do you people bathe regular bearded dragons with soap?
No, 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 no. I'm saying like you
You're
wouldn't
cutting
bathe
it out.
um you wouldn't bathe them with soap, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for
Um
sure.
sorry, I was like I wasn't cutting. I'm stuttering because I'm like trying to
Oh,
figure out how to word this. You don't bathe them with soap. You bathe them like how you bathe a beardy is you do the warm water and you get a toothbrush and you help them because like beardies shed in like
yeah.
pieces, not like in one like leopard geckos.
Oh, yeah. I
Um no, so with beardies like you just would do water and like the toothbrush because of their scales. But like could you even do a toothbrush on a silky? Like I don't think so.
I don't know because when they breed, the female can get really messed up, and that's just that. I don't know. I'm thinking about that. Like, can you use a brush on them, or you just soak them? Because they do need a higher humidity, which is like very weird. Because you, why would you put a higher humidity? Because of respiratory infection. Because they're still the same, just less scales.
Yeah, well no
So,
scales.
well, oh yeah, less no scales. Duh. Yeah. So they need a higher humidity. So I'm assuming no. I just think you just soak them until they're like, do they turn pringly? Now that I think about it,
Do they like prune like humans?
yeah, humans do they prune? I've never seen one in person, but when you suck them because they have no scales, do they prune?
I've seen one in person in a reptile shop. Didn't see it bathed though, so I don't know.
Now I'm curious if people have silkies or know of silkies, like inform me because now I'm picturing silky.
A
Oh,
literal prune.
disgusting.
I don't find them cute at
No,
all.
they're not cute at all. I'm sorry. I can picture what they look like, but I'm not gonna say.
They look like I was telling you, they look like their skin's melting.
Exactly, or like they look like like those horror movies. If you ever watched Hellraiser, those
Yeah.
Cenobites, they look like Cenobites.
Oh God, I can see that.
Yes, like the flesh have been torn off. Like I seriously cannot see what people see in Silky is. I'm I cannot. I just can't.
I don't even know, like I would understand like if they would have existed like, as a fluke. Like someone like obviously like everything that's unethical was bred as a fluke because in the early stages of breeding, people didn't know what would happen, you know?
Yeah,
Um so I understand like if like originally when silkies were bred, like people accidentally bred them, because they didn't know that whole rule with the two leatherbacks. But now like when people purposely breed silkies, I'm like, why? Like why? Like
it's because
you
they make more pretty colors. I mean, the colors they're much brighter than a normal bearded
yeah, but
dragon.
they look like they're melting. Like they don't look I don't know. I
They
don't
look
know.
like those Cruella crayons.
Oh God. Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
talk so much crud about silkies, but I feel bad for them
I
because their
do.
flesh could be torn. I mean, there's no defense. They have to have special UVB. It's like they already have issues as normal bearded dragons already have all these metabolic bone disease already, and
Mhm.
now we're gonna add silkies on top of this. Like, let's first fix the issues that the bearded dragon community already has. Why are we
Mhm.
adding silkies? Because those basic bearded dragons already have issues with people taking care of them. And the fact that you can find silkies in PetSmart and Petco is ridiculous.
Wait, can you
That
find
report.
silkies there? I didn't know that.
Supposedly you can. You can find them in Petco. At least I know that. I've heard them. Yeah. Idiots can get their hands on them. Yeah.
The equivalent, like what I think of breeding a silkie, because like bearded dragons need UVB. So not only do most silkies have like they can't shed properly, which we haven't touched on yet, but for people who don't know, silkies can't shed properly.
Oh
Like
yeah, that's why the high humidity that they need.
they can't, they constantly have stuck shed, and you basically bred an animal that needs high UVB because bearded dragons need such a high UVB level that literally can't even get the UVB that it needs because as soon as because they get burns, they burn. The UVB bulb burns them. Like a UVB you would use on a normal bearded dragon literally burns a silky skin. Like I know I'm like my voice is raising and I'm getting really heated, but like it literally makes me so mad because you're breeding an animal that can't even do the proper functions that it would need to survive. Like
And I get that because like I don't get that, and then I get that 100%. So like I don't know if they I haven't because I said oh I'm stuttering.
oh, it's okay. I've been stuttering this whole time in anger.
I know, right?
Like you've
I'm
literally
trying
been
to
like,
like
you're like, "Are you cutting out?" I'm like, "No, this is just me stuttering because I'm so mad that I don't even know what to say."
yeah, I'm trying to like word it right. It's like I said, if we already have a lot of better dragons that
Mhm.
already have medical issues as it is because people don't give them proper care, I can only imagine all the issues when silkies become more popular because I don't see them as much still, thank
No.
God. But I've met people on Facebook groups that will defend them to the end. Like there's nothing wrong with
What is
them.
there even defense? Like, what is the defense with Silkies?
Is that
Because, like,
they don't have problems with them. It said proper care, and that's with a lot of people. If you give them proper care, then that's not should not be a problem. But I'm like, if you give them proper care, all right. Let's just say out of 5 people, there's 4 of them giving proper care. That one bearded dragon that doesn't get proper care is gonna suffer. So that's what heats me. Like when people, I'm like, do you not realize people would even give dogs and cats proper care or basic better dragons proper care? You think they're going to give a silky proper care? The money
no.
doesn't mean anything to some people. Some money people throw money for boredom away. Not everyone's poor, okay? you know, um, and all that. So I mean, they were defending like I said, they're going to compare them to
Hmm.
hairless animals. Like, what's the difference? Like, people bash silkies, but you're not going to bash hairless animals with have slight problems. I'm like, the problems is that they're indoor. They don't need UVB. I don't. I was arguing with this person. I'm like, whatever. Like, I was arguing for days. And actually, hairless animals still have hair. Even guinea pigs still have hair. And I've never actually really seen really issues with hairless guinea pigs other than the somewhat little different care. But you don't see hairless guinea pigs dying or hairless dogs and cats dying left and right.
Um, when people are saying special care, because I've actually talked to someone before. I really wish I could remember. I don't remember if it was via YouTube or Instagram. I really wish I could remember their channel name right now, where they rescued a silky bearded dragon. They didn't buy it. They worked with their local reptile shop, and someone just dropped it off. Was like, I don't want this anymore, basically, with the animal, because they're like, it's sick. There's something wrong, and they ended up taking in the silky. They don't agree with it, but they took it in for free, and they said like they have the best care for that silky they can, and they said there are still like every time that silky sheds, they have to work with them to get the shed off
Yeah,
because it they said that the UVB, they have to constantly watch them and make sure the timer goes on and off multiple times a day because the silky will get burned. And they have to buy special UVB to make sure that they get enough UVB, but also that it doesn't harm them. Um, I'm sorry, I'm like really mad, but my my whole thing with silkies is like there's like with spiders, yeah, go ahead, argue for days that like minor neural issues. There is no such thing. And you know what? Come for me, people that believe in silkies, but there is no such thing as a healthy silky bearded dragon that I've seen. Like even the ones that people claim they're so healthy, I'm like, they're not though. Like everyone that I've seen looks sickly and miserable. Like
And like I agree with that because how can you give a silky proper care if you have to justify their life and have to step around stones? Because breeding silkies is like one of the most honestly dangerous things for them. Because males are brutal. They're brutal.
Oh God, no,
They're
reptile mating in general is disturbing.
brutal. And now that you have no scales, I can only imagine all the flesh and blood from him freaking tearing on her skin. I can only imagine that. Like I've never seen two silkies breed, but I'm pretty sure it's not pretty.
To be honest, I don't want to ever see that. Like, I think I'd
I,
legitimately start crying.
exactly. I would feel so bad. And supposedly they also keep silkies because if you breed a silky and a normal, you make a leatherback. So that's another thing people use silkies for, to make more leatherbacks. But I'm like,
Okay, then just get a leatherback. Um,
exactly. I don't know what else can make leatherbacks, but I just know that a silky and a normal bearded dragon can make a leatherback.
um, well, like with silkies, like what I've heard with breeding is that a lot of the females don't even make it after the breeding process.
Yeah, and
They,
that's so cruel.
like I'm sure you've heard me. I don't think you've ever heard me like raise my voice, but like literally with that, I get angry. Like I get really, really angry. And I'm not attacking. I want to make it clear. Like I'm not attacking people. I mean, I guess I am because if you breed silkies, like
You're
I don't want anything to do with you. Like
exactly
sorry,
silky.
but I'm not sorry. I don't like if you breed spiders or you breed silkies, like I legitimately don't want anything to do with you,
Oh
which is
yeah.
like really hard for me because I try to be a very understanding person and like debate topics with people. But when something like I'm a huge animal rights activist and I'm like I mean I'm literally like not to say that because I'm vegan, but like I'm vegan to the point of how much I'm like and I go to like rallies and I go to rallies outside of slaughterhouses. Like to me, like I'm not saying by the way, like I'm not saying like cuz if you're not vegan, you're not an animals rights activist. That wasn't my point.
Oh, I completely understand. I don't eat meat as much, but
Mhm.
I'm not gonna be mad. I'm like I'm more like you guys eat better than I do. You're much healthier than I am. I think of it more like that. I'm like you're more healthier than I am.
But like
But
my point being like I can like I want to like I'm not an angry person, I'm not an attackatory person, but when you're literally breeding an animal that is going to have health problems and if you're breeding a silkie to a normal that most likely will be killed, like what are you doing? Also like I feel like just the egg laying process with a silkie could cause so much damage. Like
I'm not
mm,
quite sure on that one because it's just laying eggs. Because she's just more gonna stretch out and
well
lay.
like yeah, I guess, but like I feel like it would still be harder on their well, because like their skin stretching and stuff. I feel like that probably has some issue. I mean, I don't know. I have a feeling that them being gravid isn't conducive for them either.
Well,
Um,
I don't condone braiding them, but also it's that how is their setups because you can't put like sticks and rocks in there, or if you do, it's like they're gonna rip themselves open.
like
Like they
what are
have
you
no
gonna do?
protection because
Bubble wrap
scallops
everything? Like
bubble wrap, just put bubble wrap all over them.
just like there's a movie with John Travolta called Bubble Boy and he's in a bubble. I'm like, is that what you're gonna do with your silky? Just bubble it?
Yeah, then where's the quality of life at that point if you're just gonna if you're just gonna like baby proof their life? Man, I'd rather be dead if you're gonna like, especially if there's no quality of life there. And silkies don't really have that quality of life
No.
because they're babied and it's like why? I can only imagine what they go through and all the cuts and like especially medical wise because like I said, the scales because scales protect the animal of course from harm of all the tears and just slightly maybe them scratching themselves because they're not the smartest. They head bob and they hit things all the time. I remember
Oh
my red
yeah. No, trust me,
constantly go slam against things. I'm like, what are you doing?
yeah, no, my boyfriend's bearded dragon literally is the I love him. I love Drogon. Trust me, I love him, but he's dumb.
They are dumb.
He will head bob at his own reflection to the point where my boyfriend had to put backgrounds around his whole cage because he was like head bobbing constantly. Or like my boyfriend's cats, he'll if he sees the fan in my boyfriend's room, he head bobs at it. If he sees a color he doesn't like, he'll head bob at it. He's head
You're cutting
and
out.
sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Um he's like my boyfriend's like beardy, like he's literally head bobbed. Like we gave him like I forget, it was like some kind of fruit and he head bobbed at it. We don't know why. I don't know why.
I don't know
But
why they
that's
headbutt sometimes.
it's for I know it's to be like show their dominance, but they head bob at random stuff. So,
Exactly. Like there was this. I love. Okay, off topic, but I love this one Instagram Spike. If you probably heard him, I'm like,
Spike the Beardy.
yes, he bobs at
Yes.
everything. It's like, God, you're so adorable. Anything. It
Oh
is.
no. Yeah, my boyfriend's bearded's like very similar. Like he bobs at nothing. Like sometimes he'll look at me and he'll be like chilling with me and then he'll just start bobbing at me and I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And then he stops and I'm like, "Okay." Like if he sees you walk like once he's out of his enclosure, he's chilling. Like he doesn't bob or anything and like he doesn't show any signs of stress. He's just fine. But like in his enclosure, if you walk by it, he'll start bobbing at you. But like he'll do something like I think it's a hilarious thing where they bob and then they wave.
See,
You know,
Aku was the most boring bearded dragon. He didn't bob. He didn't do anything. He just sat, stared at you, and just like, okay. Like I remember him so well when he was a rescue. But he would just stare at you and just okay, and just wall ride. That's the most he would do. Stare at you and wall ride.
um,
But he would
no,
fetch food though. That was cool.
he just vibed. No, like my boyfriend's beardy, like on a lighthearted off topic. Literally he'll bob and then he starts waving and you're like, are you threatened? Like are you relenting? Are you angry? Like what hello?
I wish we could understand what they're thinking. Like put a little like mind reader.
Yeah. Put like a Dr. Doolittle kind of thing.
Exactly. Like what would bearded dragons be thinking? But yeah,
I'm glad we had this talk because I was getting real heated.
I know it's good to go off topic sometimes and just think of the
Especially when
good
we're
things
talking about something so hard to talk about.
for sure.
Um, anyway, getting back into us being angry. um, I wanted to talk about enigmas because
Oh,
enigmas are another one that are just, oh
this
boy.
heated topic because I can't stand enigmas because white and yellows can do the same job that enigmas can do. So
Yeah.
enigmas shouldn't even exist when white and yellows can take their place. And
I,
there's proven that you don't need enigmas. So
yeah.
fight me on that. Fight me, literally fist fight me on that because you don't need them.
Enigmas, like my whole issue with them, not only that, is that like from what I've seen, I think they are starting to decrease in the pet trade, or they're just being hidden a lot better because a lot of leopard geckos have like mixed genetics. It's very hard to find a purebred leopard gecko anymore. Um, but I think they're decreasing. But enigmas are just for people who don't know, like they stargaze constantly. Like they eventually will get because enigmas like with spiders, well, people can say like, oh, like it never gets worse. Enigmas always get worse.
Oh, and once they get worse and they can't they don't they don't bounce back. A spider bottom, maybe I don't know if they'll bounce back,
Yeah.
but once Enigma's going downhill, it's going downhill. There's no turning back. And the problem with Enigmas is actually they're still common. They're not actually not dying out anytime soon. I see Enigmas everywhere.
Maybe it's a bigger because I don't see them at a lot of SoCal shows. Maybe they're more
They're
prominent
still
in.
big. If you even go on Morph Market, they're still big on there, and they're still big. I see them all over Instagram, and I've actually seen Enigma and a lemon frost combination.
Why?
Oh yeah, from a big he's very popular and people were like commenting on it like how cute. I'm like, "Oh great."
Oh, please send me their details, like
Oh, I'll
Instagram me
send it to
them.
you. I'll find it and literally and it's still there. I think another Instagrammer by Daisy I think commented on it. Also, I saw. I was like, yeah, great. You know, combine two of the worst things for the leopard gecko community together, and it wasn't even nice. It wasn't even pretty. I'm like, I would see if it was stunning. It is butt ugly, man. It was the ugliest combination.
Personally,
It's like yellow. It was a light, faint yellow.
uh,
And I'm sitting here like, oh god, that's ugly.
personally, I don't even find lemon frost pretty. They just
Yeah,
kind of look like they look like bright Murphy patternless geckos, or if they have the spots, they look like regular leopard geckos that are bright.
exactly. Or they actually do remind me of lemons. I'm not gonna lie.
They remind me of like, have you ever seen like the
But
well,
it's the
of course
ones
you've
that get
probably
scary is when they're tug snow lemon crosses. That's when it becomes very concerning for me because those are stunning and people want them. They are actually really high in demand. Tug snow lemon frost. And people
I haven't
don't
seen.
know that, oh, they look, like I said, don't hit me, but they really look amazing. I'm like, if there wasn't cancer related to it, man, I would buy one. You know, it's off in this world what they made with that one. But that's where the lemon frost, I think a lot of their sales are going to is the Tug Snow lemon frost ones,
Mhm.
because those ones. But anyways, with enigmas, is the problem is it's the death rolling. The stargazing, it doesn't bother me as much. It's the death rolling, the eating problem. They can't hunt. They definitely need to be treated like a child. They don't they their quality of life isn't there.
Yeah.
Definitely. You guys can kind of hear me. I don't think they should exist at all. Even the ones that people have, in a way. That's one I just want out gone on the face of the earth because I've seen them get to the point
Mhm.
where they death roll and they just you can't do anything about it either. You just gotta watch them as they're death rolling.
Uh,
That's heartbreaking. You just watch them death roll and you can't do anything, you
um
know, and you're just helpless. And
my
that's just it's so sad
horrible.
for just a color, for a freaking
Um
color that brightens it. That's why there still exists, is because people use them to enhance a color. That's the only reason why they exist, is to enhance other colors.
yeah, they're not even, yeah, like you were saying. Like my whole stance on that is, if like, cuz I if you rescue an enigma, I feel like understand at some point, because I see a lot of people rescue enigmas and they do well sometimes for a while, but understand at some point it might come to the point where you are going to have to euthanize them,
Yeah,
because
that's
that's like the reality of the situation. Like, this isn't me hating on people who have rescued enigmas. If you rescue an enigma, honestly, like, and I mean actually rescue, I don't mean like you were saying, like buy from a breeder, but I mean if you legitimately rescue an enigma, good on you. Like, good for your like heart and soul. Like, good for you for taking in that animal with special needs and giving it proper care, but understand that probably at some point, like, you are going to need to euthanize them because it will get worse. Like, I don't know with all enigmas, because some do thrive for a while, but from what I've heard, eventually they do start declining.
yeah. I think the only really ones I've honestly seen successful is from Jessica's animal friends. Am I correct? If I said it right.
Yeah.
Hers are like I see more successful. She knows what their signs and everything. She's a good example of like not really like it's amazing how calm she keeps hers. I don't know what her trick is and everything with her enigmas, but she
Oh, I'll
def
definitely, I'll ask her for you.
yeah, I don't know how she does it because like I'm gonna be as harsh as I don't think people should even really rescue them because I'm very iffy on them those enigmas. Like when I see people on enigma as their first time leopard gecko, and I'm like, no, please.
See, like,
I rather have people have metabolic bone disease leopard geckos than enigmas. I rather deal with 1,000 metabolic bone disease leopard geckos than one enigma. I'm very against enigmas, as you can tell.
un unpopular opinion. This is kind of off topic, but to shoot off your topic, I do not believe that most first time keepers of any herp should rescue one with issues, be it metabolic bone disease or an enigma. Like, maybe
I
maybe that's controversial, but I genuinely think that's too much for a first time keeper to handle. Like, because you've never even owned a normal one without all those issues. It's like I just feel like if it's your first time with an animal, like because I understand adopt, don't shop, but with reptiles, I definitely would say for most people, um, a maybe buying from a reputable breeder, or because like even with Craigslist, like if you see one and you're like, oh, it looks good, you cannot definitively not know if it has parasites till you get it. And I just feel like with people getting their first time animal and never of owning a hurt before, that rescuing can be very detrimental and very heartbreaking because you might be in over your head. And
Agree.
maybe that's hard to say, or like that's rude, but I
It's
just
not
that's my personal opinion.
it's not real because it's the truth. It means in society we kind of are more insensitive and attack, but it's the truth. You shouldn't be getting an animal that is on a that needs the support that it actually needs it, and if you don't know it is, you can do more harm than good. And that's when that's not rescuing. Like I'm sorry, rescuing should be only for people that have honestly money that can support it. I mean, it may sound harsh, but if you're poor or you're and I'm not trying to attack kids here, but if you're a child and you try to rescue, where your parents, you rely on your parents.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not trying to pull that card, but it's the truth. Unless your parents don't care and they're wealthy and they're like, okay, I'll do whatever you want. I mean, there is parents like that.
Not all of us are that fortunate.
I know, right? You know,
Um, well, like you've rescued before, and like I'm sure you
yes.
could lay in on that topic of rescuing and how hard it can be to work with rescues. Like if you want to go into that, like please go ahead, because I personally haven't rescued in a very
It's
long time.
stressful. It's stressful but rewarding. Like for example, Butch, he's the most stressful one, and then the new rescue that I currently have are both like you have to prepare. Like I'm gonna actually might have to take this little guy in for parasites. I'm starting to consider he might have parasites, and for that vet bill just for parasites can rough good a hundred
Oh yeah,
to
for a
almost
fecal?
200.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for just parasites. And because they're not gonna you can't just walk in and say, well, I want medicine for parasites. You
Hmm.
know, they're gonna be like we need an examination. You think? You know, I'm like, I
Oh
mean,
yeah, I definitely know because well, I'm like 99% sure none of my animals have parasites. Before I breed any of them, just to personally prove to people if they ask that they have a clean bill of health, I am going to
you
take
cut
each
it out.
individual. Hello?
All right.
Okay, there we go. Um, I was saying because as a breeder, like I'm 99% sure none of my, or as a future breeder, I should say, none of my animals have parasites. You know, they don't show any signs, yada, yada, yada. But I am definitely going to take them in just so I can, like, if anyone ever were to ask, I can have their, like, their bills, you know what I mean? Or not their bills, but like the paperwork to prove that all my
Cut it
animals
out.
are in tip top shape, you know?
Yeah. But even that, like, there's things that could happen down the line that the animal could be fine right now, and then stuff, especially when you're rescuing, because when you rescue, the animal's not in the best
Condition.
care. Yeah, so it could be from minor, like I made a post about obviously Butch about finding him a home, and I blatantly say, well, if you don't have money, he's not the type of boy for you, you know, and it may sound harsh or like mean, but it's true. I mean, animals aren't cheap, especially exotics. Especially another thing is that if you're gonna rescue, you better have a good vet that knows what they're doing. Because I've had people who rescue like bought a animal and the animal has issues and they have no vet in like miles that can take care of them. So the animal suffers and dies. That's another thing before you buy animals too, is to know if you have one or not. I luckily, because where I'm from, we have like I have like five or six where I'm from. But the one I like is like 30 minutes away. I was just fortunate enough for that.
Like what I was going to say, like how you said you drive 30 minutes away, what I was going to actually add on to that is that, like, for me, I drive like 45 minutes to see my exotics. So you just have to be prepared, basically, if you're going to rescue, that you're not going to it's not like a dog or cat vet where you'll find one in your area. Sometimes you're going to be driving an hour. you know?
And even with dogs and cats, there's not even good vets sometimes. And
Yeah,
those,
I just meant more like they're more readily available than
yeah, for
exotics.
sure. And it's even though if they say exotic vet, you still got to keep an eye on them because with that type of career, you don't necessarily label yourself as a license. It's just more self-taught. Like I
Yeah.
remember the one I volunteered at, she was self-taught of exotic with like lizards and stuff. She didn't go to school specialize in that. So that's why you also need to be very careful in who you go to.
And find a reliable.
Very, very reliable.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
a lot of people say, "Well, my vet said this." I'm like, okay.
Hey, I mean, I had a vet literally tell me my leopard gecko should eat veggies, so
Oh yeah, I
yeah.
love that.
Oh, we love exotics that don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
But to finish up before we wrap up for the day, the evening, the hour, um, like I said before, guys, and I'm sure Taylor will agree with me, what we are saying, like what we do say is what we believe, but you definitely, please do your own research. Like, just don't take what we say in this podcast as the Bible, the holy word. Like, take it with a grain of salt in the sense that you should really do your own research. Um,
And another thing is also look at your breeders as well because even if you don't buy these type of morphs, if they're selling it, you're still supporting it. It's a it's a kind of harsh thing. This is
but
why you need to also look at what your breeder or wherever you buy them from, what they sell. Because if they're selling these type of morphs,
you're still supporting them.
you're still supporting it, regardless if you don't buy it or not.
Yeah.
So
Trust me, and regardless, just look into your breeders anyway. I've learned that the hard way.
I've learned it the hard way too. I've learned it. We
Yeah.
all learn, but that's what I'm saying. Really study your breeder as well, because not every breeder has the best attention for you. Remember, when animals have a price over their head, some people will do anything for it.
Yeah. Well, thank you again so much for joining me and talking about this topic because I know it's not an easy one to talk about.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. Have a good night, Taylor.
You too.